And we're going live in when we're going live. And we're live. Okay. Hey, everybody. My name's Adam.
Hey guys, John is back finally after 2 weeks of missing this.
And then we have special featured guest, Stephen Platt. Stephen, where are you from?
Originally upstate New York, near Buffalo. I was raised in Houston, and I'm living in Dallas now, Dallas, Texas.
Okay. And what is your shop?
Okay, so we have it's Drift America RC, and we have a track and a shop, and we do online sales, and we have a pit area for people to work on their cars. Drift America RC makes the acronym DARK, and so technically Dark Circuit is the track, and then Drift America RC Drift Imports is the shop. And we actually originally started just kind of as a Facebook page, like a local group, and it was the Drift America RC Drift movement, and it was intended to be a movement to bring RC drifting to America in any way we could. You know, I guess in retrospect, a lot of other people have had a bigger impact, but that's always been our goal, just to grow the hobby in America.
Gotcha. Okay. You went a little bit far because I want that a little bit later. But,
oh, that's fine. That's fine. Cool.
No, that's okay. That's cool because we'll eventually get to that and all that fun stuff. But you guys, we've got a pretty good show for you. We've got Steven here. We've got John. We were hoping to do a pretty in-depth kind of dive into what Dark is and kind of their layout and ask him a few questions so that we can get some experienced answers, because that's what I'd like to know, to be honest. Yeah, because we are a group of nerds that play with toy cars that have some form or reasoning to spend quite a bit of money on our little toy cars and can, have fun. We have fun with it. So I hope you guys are having fun with it. I hope you guys had a good week because, it's been a long week for me. Dieting is never fun. Is anything fun happening for you guys this week?
Steven?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking everybody.
Well, I don't know if you said that you were going to follow a lot of the comments in the feed, and I don't see that on my end. So if you're asking them, I'm not seeing any of that.
Oh, I'll be better about directing questions then.
Yeah, sure. Fun this week. I'm putting in a top line order. That's always fun. They have a lot of cool stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, we had we actually just changed our layout a lot. We had a Harley Davidson dealership show. Was that last Saturday? Yeah, it was last Saturday. And we actually, so Harley Davidson, the dealership here in Texas, contacted us on Facebook and asked us if we would come out and drive in their shop area. We agreed to it, and we had it kind of planned for a long time. So we went there and we taped the layout down. And after doing that, we liked the layout so much, we came back to our track and we were like, let's try to kind of bring some of those features into it. So we have this straight with a manji that kind of, or I think the way to pronounce it is manji, but I'm from America, so this is I'm gonna Americanize it and call it a manji. And so we have these 90-degree clipping points that are pretty cool, or 90-degree, that. But you got to kind of flick it and throw it, and it's just it was a lot of fun on the Harley floor. So we had to bring it into our track here, and it's going to be part of our comp layout now. So
now I find that really interesting, like, because Harley doesn't seem to fit the crowd. You know what I mean? So did someone there were they already interested in the drift?
Yeah. So a lot of the people that work there, and it seems like a lot of the customers are actually into RC cars in general. I had one guy tell me he had our RMX, and kind of surprised me that he had taken a step like that to get into RC drifting. But he kind of knew a little bit about the hobby. So that was interesting. And then there was a older couple, behind me. We did like a little practice, like a mini comp to show people what, an RC drift comp is like. And so we just lined people up 2 by 2. And I told them kind of, well, he would have been 0 for run because he hit the curb. And this older, biker, I would say, couple behind us seemed actually really interested, and they were following it. And, they were having reactions when people hit the wall and stuff. And so
I find it absolutely hilarious because it's like anybody that comes by and watches the track, right? Just like a group of guys drifting around the track. I never hear that they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of nerds doing their thing, whatever, this is stupid. It's always like, dude, they're drifting, or like, oh, it's Tokyo Drift or whatever, right? It's never like negative feedback. Although there was one time where I was like, or overheard this kid be like, oh, those cars, they have gyros in them, they drive themselves, blah, blah, blah. And then I offered to have him drive, and he was like, yeah, no.
Have him drive it without the gyro.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, yeah. Like, I think drifting is always going to come off as cool. Like, it's just the nature of how the movies have perceived it, or like made it look, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's a fresh new, motorsport, and the rules are actually kind of groundbreaking if you think about it. Usually people race, and so just whoever's in the lead wins, But with drifting, it's kind of a dance. It's like a balancing act, and you try to get as close as you can without causing the other car to shake or having any nose-in contact. And you're trying to get as close as you can without hitting them. And it changes the whole dynamic. And then, meanwhile, you're trying to balance the car and keep it from spinning out and hold a lot of angles. So it's a real challenge. It's not just whoever is first wins,
Yep. It's
a
battle.
Some of the judges' calls are tough to make. I mean, we've had some real tough calls. I've had to, hit up Steve Fujita for a final opinion. He's made a few calls for us that I just, some of them are too hard to make. And even, with 3 judges, we can't make a final decision. So it's a real deep competition.
I mean, I was watching one of your live streams on like one of your competitions recently, and like every single round it was almost like a 5-minute like ordeal of discussing of who did what. And I'm pretty sure I saw like 2 other guys just always recording the runs as well. Like, I don't know if they were like the buddy phone, right? Like where it's like, hey, record me, or if it's like that's their job and that's what they're doing.
Well, yeah, we don't have cameras set up around the track. We looked at doing that kind of a system early on, and I talked to actually, Super G about it, and they were mentioning that they had a system, but we've just been really having like one person on each corner have the camera, and then at the end of the run they'll come over. Some runs are pretty obvious, like if someone zeroes out, those are easier calls to make. But when you have something where like a few people, like there are a few mistakes by both people, and you have to judge whose mistake was worst. And there's a first to crash rule, which I didn't even know about. But that makes it a little easier. But then deciding whose mistake was an actual crash. And then sometimes you have to see if someone went off, dipped 2 wheels out of bounds, or if a nose-in contact was disruptive to the lead car enough to call it a crash. So there are a lot of fine details to go over, and I don't like that it takes so long to make those calls.
Right.
But honestly, if we put like a 1-minute timer on each call between rounds, then I really feel like that would just kind of push us to make hasty calls. and I don't want to do that because the last thing I want to do is make the wrong call.
Yep.
Because like you said, it is toy cars, but it's pretty important to a lot of people, and it means a lot. You know, I've seen some pretty happy people walk away with awards. So
Yep.
I've seen some people get pretty upset when they don't like the call. So it is important to people.
So let me ask you this: as far as like prizes for your competitions, like, do you try to keep them as like regular prizes? Lately, we've been doing kind of like novelty prizes. Like the first competition of our series, we did like the 5-foot candy bar things, and then we did what did we do the second round? I don't remember that one. But the last round we did gummy hot dogs, because we have a thing up in PDX area, Portland area, where it's free hot dogs on Tuesdays. So yeah, had to follow up with that theme. Anything fun that you guys do?
You know, we've been kind of not doing any like monetary or like any kind of value prizes like inventory or anything, but instead just like something memorable. We've been doing a lot of plaques lately.
Mm-hmm.
And the plaques are actually cool because I didn't realize you can make them full color. But you can do like a full color image on the plaque that shows you know, some of the same artwork that was used for the comp. And so those end up being pretty nice. For trophies, there's not a lot of, you know, RC drift specific trophies. There's like some checkered flags or a little Pinewood Derby looking race car, a steering wheel.
Right.
So yeah, I've been talking actually to one of the locals here, Michael Vandenbroder, because he's a really big, you know, 3D printer. He's kind of next level 3D printer. He's the one that all the 3D printers go to get advice. But he's been trying to come up with some 3D printed trophies, but it seems like they collapse. So I like the plaques personally, but you know, we're always open to change things up, you know. But I don't like giving someone like a body or, you know, set of wheels or something. I feel like that's less personal, less momentous.
So, round 2 was at the fitted car show. So we got t-shirts and like a jet tag for everybody. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's anyway, why I didn't remember. I was like,
right. For everyone that entered, or for the winners?
The winners. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
So random thought that literally just popped into my head, and I don't know why I haven't thought about it myself, but my favorite like car award that I've seen, it's not those like crystal, like the plexiglass plaques or anything like that, but they were brake rotors that were cut in half so that they would stand on end. So like it's a little heavy piece of metal with some etching on it. So
brake rotors are drifty. I've seen some of those.
Yeah, I think I've seen some as an award for an actual drift event.
Yeah, because you were at one, John. The car show, the Deuces Wild poker run for that tuner coalition, those were the ones that did the brake rotors.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was years ago.
You're going way back.
Yep, way back. Okay, so let's talk about Dark.
Okay.
So earlier on, you were literally saying that Dark is the American perspective on what drift is. And that in itself actually means a lot of different words to me, because like so many times we hear like drift and it's JDM and it's everything Japan, right? So we want to try to do our best about trying to mimic that. How does Dark how does that integrate in the whole idea of drift?
Well, you know, it's kind of just what's going on in America. You know, it's not I mean, it can be, you know, the American cars themselves. You know, we expect obviously to see more Mustangs, more Chargers, Challengers in America. I mean, when you see someone come, you know, from bashing a backyard basher car, and they're like, I want to get into drifting, you know, and they're like, you know, you got a Camaro, you know, or you got a Corvette, you know, and The JDM car culture is a little more, I wouldn't say underground, but not as much on the surface in America as a lot of the American cars. And actually, you know, like in Formula Drift, you do see mostly JDM cars. You see some like, you know, Mustangs, and you know, I've seen some Corvettes, and but yeah, you know, not a lot of the so we have a lot of people come in, you know, because they went to other hobby shops and they said, I want to get into drifting, and they're like, we don't know anything about it, but there's this place, and they send them here. And those people don't know Formula Drift, they don't know you know, JDM, they don't know any of that stuff, you know. So to that kind of a consumer, you know, a Mustang or a Charger, you know, appeals to them, you know. So back to your original question, you know, it's kind of a perspective for the rest of the world. You know, the dark group page community is kind of a perspective, or it's intended to be a perspective for the rest of the world to see what's going on here in America. You know, at very least, you know, here locally in Dallas, Texas, but and you know, the bigger picture, I encourage people to post, you know, pictures of them doing donuts in the garage, you know, track events, you know, videos that they cut, anything in America that's going on in America, you know, just, you know, post it up there and show the rest of the world, you know, what the American drift culture, RC drift culture is evolving into.
They're not posting takeovers, are they?
No,
Thank
you know,
goodness.
you should make a video of a takeover. That would be hysterical.
A drift takeover,
Yeah,
a RC drift
run
takeover.
over. Lots of Mustangs sitting crowds.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Oh,
All right,
boy.
someone's gonna do it now.
Okay. So you mentioned Dallas, Texas. Does FD actually hit Dallas?
Oh yeah, we get a Formula Drift in Texas Motor Speedway.
Okay.
We've actually set up. We used to set up a carpet track. We had two 35-foot rolls. Let's see, I think they were 25 by 35-foot rolls of carpet. The gray stuff they sell at Home Depot, and we just roll it out. And we actually set up a carpet track at Formula Drift. I'm not a big fan of carpet personally, but it's something to run on, and you know, we do those events just to try to, you know, show people what RC drift is, you know, and people that haven't ever seen it before, they see it and they're like, oh wow, and gets people to join the community. So that's kind of the whole intention of doing those. But yeah, we have done a show at Formula Drift at Texas Motor Speedway. So.
Right on. Now, do you feel that having the influence of FD so close to you, does that help you out, or is it kind of like a wash?
You know, Formula Drift, really, no matter where it is in the world, people that are into it, you know, want to watch it. We show it here at the track in the pit room a lot. And, you know, I would say, like, when it comes here to Dallas, I don't think everybody at the track, you know, packs up and goes, you know, so maybe not, I wouldn't say, but knowing that Texas Motor Speedway is a track that they use for drifting is kind of cool. We have a local, like a full-scale drift crew. It's called Lone Star Drift, Aaron Losey, and he's a really good dude. You've heard of them?
Yep.
Yeah, and they've been here for a long time, and we've seen them at events. We've gone to events at Texas Motor Speedway, and you know, shared the NASCAR garage with all the Lone Star Drift guys. And
sweet.
Yeah, it's cool. They pull their cars in and out of there, and they do ride-alongs, and so there is, you know, a definite full-scale drift culture here as well. And I wouldn't say that, you know, it's all the same people. Like people that we have a couple of people that RC drift, and they also drift real cars, but it's not like all the same people. It's usually one or the other. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting like contrast here, where like the closest FD to us is up in Seattle, right? So Seattle or like Northern California. So
do you guys have a track that they have any drift events at, or like a local group?
Kind of. So we used to have Park, which was at Pat's Acres. That was kind of like the big thing, like north, like in Portland area, right? And then we have Affinity Circuit, right, John? Like down in Medford.
Yep.
And then we have Spirit Peaks, which is where in Washington?
It's up in Total, Washington. It's about an hour and a half from me, north of me.
Yeah, so like real drift culture, like real car drift culture still exists. It's just it's farther away for us.
It's pretty big around here actually. Just because we have all the tracks we have. Well, we did have Park and then Affinity Circuit, Spirit Peaks, and then they do track days at Evergreen or Evergreen Speedway and so it's not technically in Seattle, it's in Monroe, Washington, but like Formula D is calling it Seattle, Washington, just because I guess that's more well known.
It's close enough.
Yeah, right. So and then there's a new place that I guess they've been doing track days at over in Dallasport, which is east of me, a couple hours east of me or something like that. I haven't been there, but it's something to check out eventually. It's in Portland or in Oregon, Northwest. It's pretty big because
the culture is right.
Yeah, the culture is. Yeah. So it's like you actually see drift cars that drives around the street, or at least I see them. It's like it's a little bit more than normal. So.
But the same thing, like the whole RC drift community, it's kind of like one or the other. We do have the same, like a few guys that do both, right?
Yep, we have a handful of those for sure.
It is. So I always tell people it's a night and day difference. I mean, actually the setup and the steering geometry and the physics, a lot of that is the same, but when you do full scale drifting, you've got, screeching tires, you got smoke, you've got a lot of torque against a lot of friction.
Yep.
To me, it's kind of like a high stress feeling, like a big exhilaration, like a lot of adrenaline, whereas like RC drifting, there's like no friction, very low power, low throttle, like low level throttle control. Very delicate balance. It's very, feng shui, like, water passing over you. It's a balance. It's very calming. Kind of, centers your chi and, brings you back to a calm place. It's very, very relaxing for a lot of people. And I'm not the only one that said that, I mean, you can zone out and start thinking about something else and do your best 10 laps and not even realize that you're just cranking them out. It's borderline meditational, so it's totally different than, motorsport or, motorsport drifting, and I think it's important to, acknowledge the difference,
100%.
It appeals to two different groups of people for the most part,
What's funny is that the buggy racer friends that I have that have gotten into drift, every single time it's always been like it's the most frustrating but also the most rewarding thing in like RC that they've done, like every single time, and it's kind of fun to just watch that progression.
Yeah, but when you get that first sweeper and you're able to hold it without spinning out and come out of it, it kind of ignites the fire in your brain, so it's kind of cool to watch that happen.
Right. What is the best part about you, like seeing a new person in drift and then them making the ladder climb and like them competing in like that process?
It's funny because there's a guy that's been, I don't know if he started right before me or around the same time as I did, but I met him, a good 10 years ago. His name's, Randy Sanders. We call him, Macho. And we were just talking this evening about, how, people start out, pretty new. And then we had a customer come in and this guy says, I just got a Kyosho Phaser 2 drift car. And I was thinking about upgrading to a RMX RTR. And I'm like, I'm like, come tell this to Randy, you know, because it's funny that people are still in America, like, so, you know, basic, you know, with their understanding of, you know, what rear wheel drive RC drifting is, you know, and I'm like, you're going to upgrade to the,
Yep.
you know, I don't personally, I don't recommend people to get an RTR. I know it's appealing and it's, you know, it's easy. But you just, the electronics and just about every RTR, you really just need to throw out the window as soon as you get the car. So I hate to see people, you know, spend the extra money on it, and I'd rather, you know, see them get something that's going to work for them at least for a little while. It's kind of a trick, you know. You gotta, like, someone may have, you know, 10,000 on their account, but they don't want to go spend it all on a drift car, you know. I mean, not that you could, but they might not want to spend 2,000 on a drift car yet, you know. But maybe once they've driven one for a week, they could say, you know what, this is something I want to spend a lot of time doing. I enjoy it. And yes, I would like to reward myself with a nice setup, and I have adult money and I can do it. So it's kind of tricky to figure that out initially. But actually, the sooner you can make that decision, the less money you're going to spend in the long run. Because if you keep upgrading and upgrading, you're just throwing money away on bad stuff.
So speaking of chassis, since we brought up RMX or upgrading to an RMX, what's your preferred chassis?
My preferred chassis, it's probably not popular. I like the Sakura series.
Do you have a particular?
I like my D5. I actually prefer the D4 though. So I have an Opera D D4. I took the electronics out of it to set up another chassis right now. But when we first started, you know, I was just like, you know, I just want to bring this stuff into America. I want to show everybody in America, and I think it's going to blow up. And obviously people just don't know about it, but this is so cool. And like, I know everybody's going to love it. So I was just like, you know, so I got a, you know, tax ID number and set up the business name and started contacting people really over Facebook or getting email addresses, however I could, and just contacting them and say, hey, can I buy some stuff for wholesale and try to make a profit to, you know, keep doing business like that. Because you need to make a profit in order to keep functioning, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people turned me away, you know, to be honest. Okay, I'm not going to start naming brand names, but one brand name in particular, you know, said that they needed a $3,000 minimum order.
That was MST, huh?
How did you know that?
Because I did the same exact thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so now that we called them out, we're not going to.
No, they're fine.
Right. So you like the Sakura, and you said you prefer the D4, right?
Right.
Why is that? As far like, so the question is.
So yeah, sorry, I sound like I'm talking in circles, but I do have a point. You know, I get off on these tangents,
Yeah,
but I'll come full circle.
why do you like the Sakura, like say over Revd or Yokomo? What's your thought process on that, or why do you think that way?
Because when we first started, I went to 3 Racing, and they said, yes, we will give you a wholesale account. We'll give you, you know, wholesale pricing, no minimum orders. Let us know what you need. I had a direct line to Suki over there. She's not there anymore. Now I deal with Connie. They've had excellent customer service. You know, their upgrade parts are really good quality, and they're inexpensive. They've never had me do a minimum order. They actually sent me an order that I hadn't paid for yet, which to me is like, you know, and they didn't do it on accident. They were like, go ahead and pay us on Monday when when you're able to or whatever. And so they've just been, you know, and whenever I've asked for anything for events or like prizes to give away or something, raffle prizes, they've always sent me good stuff.
Right on.
So I guess I'm kind of a people person, you know, and when people, especially in other countries, you know, are supportive of, you know, America doing our thing over here, you know, I take that to heart, you know. Having said that, I like the belt drive stuff. I like that they have Teflon coated gears. They have Teflon coated ball ends. Actually, a lot of their parts are, you know, pretty baller stuff, you know, especially their upgrades. Their basic chassis is inexpensive enough to get someone into the hobby for about $100 less than they would if they were going to get a Yokomo chassis. And that, that kind of a discount on the overall price to get into the hobby makes it a lot easier for people to do.
Yeah.
But I like the product. I know it's not the most popular, or people give me a hard time about it. A lot of people around here agree with me. It's good upgrade parts, good designs, good quality. So
yeah.
Now,
hold on, John.
Oh,
Pause really quick. Your son Steven. You have a son? Yeah, he's in chat. He's saying hi.
Oh. I told him I was gonna be on. He's a good kid.
Well, there you go.
What's up, Steve-O?
And then John actually has a really, really good point here that I kind of want to bring it back, because one of my biggest things about watching a new driver come into the hobby and then succeed, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of one of the best feelings that anyone can get. The whole, for lack of a better words, like master to Padawan type of like relation, right? Because John, you do the same thing up in PDX, right? Like, you kind of lead the herd in terms of this is what you can do for your car, or just giving general advice.
I wouldn't say I lead the herd. I'm one of the guys that people can ask questions and I can kind of guide a person to in a progressive way. Because some people just, that's why my question following this, that's why I ask those questions, right? Like, what chassis do you do? What you prefer? Why do you do it? Why? Because then that way if I understand more of the chassis, like you guys, then we would have a better understanding of where to tune a certain car. Yeah. My thing is, like, it's cool. Like, we're all drifting together. The faster everyone else progresses at my level, then the more fun I can have, and the more everyone else can have fun.
So this is exactly where that question was. John Jalufka.
Yeah.
Anyway,
AJ, what's up, man?
So his comment in chat: it seems like new drivers are progressing at a faster rate these days. Do you agree with this? And what is your attribute? What do you attribute to that? Why you, basically?
So, yeah, I think people are progressing faster because the information's out there. It's available locally. There's more, I guess there's more platform to share the knowledge. Like, before, you have to be in a certain forum. You only have, if you follow the specific group, that's the only way you can get that information. To where now it's like, you go to your local track, one guy is at least going to know how to drift or how to set up a drift car, because those guys have been to a drift track. Yeah, I mean, it started like just me answering questions. The next thing you know, you have everyone at the track knowing what to tell people when they ask questions. So I think that's why everybody's progressing faster, because they see it in person and they're like, okay, that's how I want my car to drive. So that's how I want to learn how to drive.
What about you, Steven?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a weird hobby. You don't know how to set up a car unless you really know how to drive, and you don't know how to drive unless your car's set up. So at the end of the day, you just need help. And I think the growth of communities and tracks, and even just groups that are drifting together. Just having someone to go to like John in your local area that can say, hey, you need to turn up your gyro, or just real basic stuff that people wouldn't know how to do on their own.
That is very cool.
Yeah, just having a track or having someone's garage that everybody meets up in. Those kinds of groups forming, because it you can't do it on your own. You can watch YouTube videos all day, and you're gonna miss something like turning up your gyro, something real obvious. And so having definitely having more tracks growing, starting up in America, more groups. I mean, have you guys seen that map that I've been working on, the drift map?
I've seen the Illuminati one. I haven't seen the dark one yet.
the dark ones. That's why I had to take a break, because I had to figure out how to do something in Photoshop. It's stupid. I had to figure out how to draw a line. But yeah. And I actually had to call Photoshop and get tech support on it to figure like, how do you draw a line? But I figured out how to draw a line, and so now I'm going to be able to, match up all the points. But we have the old 2015 drift map on the wall here. I'll show you real quick. And what's funny is, like, you can see there's kind of a lot of groups, but all the red is just groups. The blue is tracks. So like we have Kong RC. This was from 2015.
Yep.
And Sheldon's, the Super G was there. Vertex was there. Some of these groups aren't, Tri-Acres. That's Patrick Salazar. He's not. They don't have that spot open anymore. Crawl Space. I think that's. I don't know if that's Scale Science or if they just replaced Scale Science, or the Scale Science replaced them. But
what do you have in Oregon?
In Oregon?
Yeah. Was there anything, or was that just Portland?
Isn't Rain City up there?
Rain City is up in Washington.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
they're closer to Kong than anything else. But is it
just a Hot Import Nights event? Portland, Oregon RC Drift Club.
Yeah, so that's funny because so me and a buddy Chuck Brewster, and his Two Bros RC thing.
Yeah, I remember Two Bros.
Yeah, so that was Chuck. I've been doing that show with him for quite a while.
That's cool. Yeah, I wish they would have kept making. They had some pretty cool wing mounts.
I don't think they did wing mounts. They were mainly tires for the most part, because it was just starting to break into the scene. ABS tires are kind of like the go-to in terms of carpet, and we were mainly on carpet, and they were okay on concrete, not great, but okay. And then the Yokomo DRC showed up, and that's when everybody changed over to that.
Yeah, and I think what was the other? There was Raikou Drift. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, they were like the only ones where you could buy RER parts from. Like
I remember that. So this is the current map, and so you can see there's a lot more blue. These are all actual tracks, and this is just what I've gotten off the internet. These blue stars, they're all in Ohio. These are, Drift Set, New York, and Pittsburgh, 412. That guy's almost open. The stuff in Florida, Texas, we have, I think I'm missing one actually still. California is all lit up. Purple, so blue is a track and purple is a track with a shop. So these are all tracks, except for the few reds. Those are still drift groups that are looking to get some place to have permanent to slide. But you can see how much the scene's grown in America just comparing 2015 to this.
Yeah.
And so, all these, if you live in Kansas, you can drive over to Slideworks and figure out how to set up a drift car. Like having places out here, has really made the hobby have a good chance to grow, and then the more tracks we have, and honestly, this one's cool. I really like Colt's track. He's got a you wouldn't know it's his garage from the videos, but RCHQ in Owasso, Oklahoma. I think it's Drift Lab.
Mm-hmm.
There in Oklahoma, and that's his garage, and he's extended his garage out to the driveway, and they're actually able to set up a pretty large track there, and they're all actually really good drivers. And if someone wants to set up a car in Oklahoma, they go there and they show them how to do it. So it's definitely made the hobby grow.
Well,
keep making tracks out there, you guys.
Yeah, let me know if you need like the Oregon locations, or John can help you out too, because we've got PDX, we've got Albany, and then we've got the RC Fight Club up in cool, up there in Washington.
Yeah, definitely I'll need those, because I feel like I've got some blanks in there, but the map's gotten actually pretty elaborate. It's gotten more. I had to go to a bigger format, like a bigger canvas, and kind of move stuff around to make room. And that's why I had to figure out how to draw a line, because the line from the star to the name of the track is getting kind of confusing.
Right.
So I'm going to try to.
So we have a question from the chat. How long have you been drifting?
How long have I been drifting? I think 2012 or 2013 is when I started. And just like everybody else, I saw a drift video, RC drift video, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I told my wife, I was like, we should learn how to do that. And she's like, okay, I'm down. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's figure out how to do it.
So
and,
what was the first chassis? First. Yeah, I do want to know.
Okay, so I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you, because everybody does it. I had a TC3, and I was like, I can take out the front spindle and or the front differential or the axle and make it rear wheel drive. And that didn't work. But then I actually found a front one way diff for a TC3. Yeah, and I added a gyro. And I had an all-wheel drive drift car. Everybody was all-wheel drive here in Texas for a good while. I would say up until like 2015, really. I was actually one of the last holdouts. Even though my first rear-wheel drive purposed RC drift car was an Eagle R31.
Okay.
Front motor, and I couldn't figure out how to tune that for the life of me. And I actually put it in a box and shipped it up to Pat in Michigan Slide Syndicate. And he tuned that for me and sent it back to me, and it drove, and he had it tuned so well it pretty much drove itself. But that was kind of my introduction into rear wheel drive RC drifting.
What about the counter steer? Tell me a little about that.
What do you mean? Like,
so
did I like it?
You had a TC3. Like, did you have like anything else besides the TC3 in the all-wheel drive scenario?
I'm trying to think what the other car was that I had that was all-wheel drive. I mean, I had a Sprint for a while, but it wasn't. I didn't like buy the Sprint and then do all that. It was someone else's Sprint that I bought used, and I set it up for a little while. I feel like I had another chassis, but I think it was just my R31 and my TC3. I had a TA05. I had an Eagle TA05, a blue one, and I converted that to rear wheel drive. And after all the parts I had to buy, I might as well have just bought a rear wheel drive TA05. I really miss Eagle chassis. Broadtech needs to bring that stuff back, because I thought they were cool. They were nice looking. Some people made a comment about soft aluminum, or the quality not being as good about the Eagle chassis, but I was always able to get the Eagle chassis tuned, and they had some cool features too. So I really like them. And I have an Eagle chassis now. I have a FRD, and
is it the belt driven one?
Yep.
Right,
well, it's the shaft driven, but it's got the belt driven transmission in the front.
Yep. I had one of those.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, when people see it, they're always like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy looking," And then it's actually pretty nostalgic too. So it's got the shaft drive in the back, and then the transmission up front is all belt driven. So you can see kind of how that works. And the motor is up here.
Yep.
So, and the gold, you don't ever see any gold chassis anymore since Eagle went away. So, I guess you see some of them, but.
No, I mean, the only gold that I can just immediately think of would be GRK, because they come out with like every single color. But yeah. By chance, did you ever have a D3 before the D4?
Yes. Yeah, we've that was the first chassis that I really started stocking to sell. And we did. Yeah, I did have a D3 with a front one way, Gosh, I barely remember it, honestly. But yeah, and some people were trying to convert the D3s to rear-wheel drive.
Yep.
And that turned into a big headache in parts. And then the D4 came out, and they released it in all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive.
Yep.
And it was a lot easier to convert. You just needed little extensions on the wipers, and you were in business.
Did yours not come with it? Because when I pre-ordered mine came with the extensions.
Well, if you get the rear-wheel drive version, but the all-wheel drive version, we had to order them separate. I remember because I kept a lot of them on hand.
Okay.
That people wanted to convert them.
Gotcha.
You know what's cool about the D3? So I had one for a long time, and it just sat. It was kind of like a nostalgic thing to have in the shelf. And we had actually Mike Vandenbroder, the guy I was talking about earlier. He came in. He was like, "I want to buy it," and I was like, "All right," And so I think I charged him like $70 or something. It wasn't much, But so it has tires in it that have flints in it.
Yep.
Did you know that?
Yep.
It had flints in the tires. And we went to a car show at Texas Motor Speedway, and he put the tires with the flints on, and he's drag racing across the parking lot, and it's sparking everywhere. And he got like some slow motion footage of it. It came out really cool. I don't think you can get flints. I asked Free Racing if they can sell the tires with the flints on them anymore. They said no. So
probably not, because during customs they'd probably get taken.
Yeah, I guess nowadays they would, but yeah, they were. I wish someone come out with tires with flints on them again, because those look really cool on the concrete.
Okay, John, what was your first rear-wheel drive chassis again?
Yokomo D package.
Let's say
Sorry. Rear-wheel drive?
Purpose-built rear-wheel drive car, not a conversion.
Yokomo YD2. Like an actual rear-wheel drive, not converted.
Yeah, those were, when they came out, they were really pretty groundbreaking, I thought.
Because for the most part, all my chassis was conversions until the YD2 era.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, because I had a YD4 before that I converted to rear-wheel drive and sold to get a YD2, and then we got a D-like after that.
We got a comment from Azza here. I'd like to hear your thoughts on SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, coming over here from the New Zealand, Australia Supercars and winning the first NASCAR street race in Chicago. First debut in NASCAR in 60 years. I don't have any information on that. Any of you guys?
Half of that I didn't even understand, to be honest. Was someone's name?
Oh, so guy in chat's name is Azza. What he said was, I would like to hear your thoughts on SVG, or Shane Van Gisbergen, coming over from the New Zealand, Australia Supercars and winning the first NASCAR street race in Chicago. First debut win in NASCAR in 60 years. So I don't know anything. Sorry, and we're moving on.
Wrong chat. Maybe. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a drift driver that I'm not familiar with. But NASCAR, I don't follow.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like I enjoy more than just turning left. However, in an RC car it's okay, and in a steering wheel behind a simulator that's okay too. I'm sure in real life it'd be pretty epic. But yeah.
Cool that he's listening in on the show either way.
Yeah, we've got people from all over. So there we've got Netherlands involved one night too. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Ooh. Thoughts? Okay. The chat from Garage RC Hobbies. Thoughts on the Revd RDX chassis?
Let's Steven, you answer first.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you my honest answer. I mean, okay, so I originally talked to the guy at Revd and said, "Oh, what do I have to do to pick up your products?" And he said you have to go through Vertex because they're the main distributors for the country for Revd. And so I've been going through Vertex, and so they came out with a small, I think they under-delivered their first batch by about, I think it was 25% or half. So a lot of people that had pre-orders, like if you had 20 of them pre-ordered, you only got 10 or 15.
Yep.
And so people that had prepaid didn't get their chassis, and you had to choose who did and didn't. Which Revd's had a big impact. Their parts for Yokomo are great, and the servos are great. I haven't used the gyro, but I've heard they're great. So it's a great company, good stuff. So everybody was all hyped up about this chassis, and then they had a smaller than expected order come in, and then everybody else still wanted one. Well, the people that still wanted one had to wait like another 5 months until the next batch came. And by then, I kind of felt like the hype had died down, and not as many people were going to be interested. But still people are wanting to get them. The design is great. They drive great. They seem like they maybe crab walk a little bit, throw too much angle. But that's all stuff that can be tuned out with an adjustable turnbuckle setup. There are not a lot of upgrades out there for them still. It's just been kind of a slow moving product line, I would say, for that particular chassis. So that can be frustrating for everybody. But a lot of people like them. A lot of people have been comping with them and doing really well.
Yep.
And they do drive well. I wish they would have delivered faster, kept the ball rolling, and come out with a lot of upgrade parts, right away. So, but I understand that they're probably not as big of a company as everybody thinks that they are. Sometimes these big companies that end up being just like two guys in a warehouse, in Japan or something. So, who knows? Having said that, all the Revd stuff has been really well designed. Those servos, we haven't had a single problem with them. The software for the programming on the servos has been really easy to use. It's the least expensive good servo I would sell somebody.
Yep.
But it's also the best servo I would sell somebody. So really, really good job on making those servos for sure. I hope they can produce more of them and get them in the States and make some good upgrades for them.
Right. Okay, John, your turn.
Oh shit.
We talked about this. No, so RDX, as far as the chassis alone, great chassis. I actually one of the lucky ones that was able to get my hands on part of the first batch. So one of the local guys did not like driving the RDX, so I ended up buying it from him. I have not changed a thing on that car except for electronics. And it's one comps, and it's definitely a top contender in the local track. And a lot of my local guys, they've converted from MSTs to RDX, from Shark to RDX. One of the guys actually had the final form Shark and drives the RDX. Basically, everybody's converting to the RDX. So as far as the chassis goes, it's a pretty well-designed chassis, pretty competitive. The crab walk part, I haven't noticed it so much, but I think you were onto something there. But I think if the car is built right according to the map or on the T to the manual, I think it's pretty good.
Did you leave the tie rods the length that they come, or did you do a tie rod set?
They're fixed.
They're fixed. So it's
So you left the fixed ones in there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I thought it was set up really well, but that's one for the. I don't know. I call it crab walking, but just when you start to drift, it like kind of pulls you into that full 90 degree, and it slows your way down.
Yep.
That's what I've noticed from them a little bit. But if you can manage your angle and just kind of hold it,
I think it's definitely what I would say. It's got a different driving style. set for anybody, because it's not something that I could just hand to a guy that's been driving an MST that's doing pretty good at it, or even a Shark. And I'm noticing that on a lot of the local guys, we all have different driving styles. So I think if you're the guy that's been driving the original Yokomo YD2 and you have it set, you kind of learned your own bad habits or good habits depending on what car you're driving. So, yeah, I think it's just driving style. And like what I tell all the guys all the time, it's not the motor. Well, let me retract that. It's not about how much money you spend on the chassis. It's how much or how well you know your chassis. Because if you don't know your chassis, it doesn't matter if you've spent $2,000 in electronics. It's not going to make you a good driver. So I don't know. That's just my 2 bits on the RDX. It's my go-to chassis. If I'm competing, that's what I'll drive. So a follow-up question on that: what is your fun chassis go-to? Like your go-to fun chassis? The one that gets all the attention, gets all the tuning, gets all the love here and there when you're not driving a comp chassis.
You know what, man? Honestly, I've been going through something as a shop owner, where like I'll spend hours tuning someone else's chassis and working with them and, you know, showing them how to drive. But when it comes to like my own chassis or my own painting, I always feel like there's something more important to do than work on my own chassis. And I know I need to, you know, stop thinking like that, or maybe just, you know, have a set 2 hours, you know, every week or whatever that I spend just tuning my chassis, you know. But I trust me, my favorite part about the hobby, honestly, is creating events, seeing them come to life, seeing everybody, you know, show up and have a good time, and building the community, you know, thinking of cool events, having barbecues, whatever we do, you know. That's my favorite part of the hobby, you know, and I feel bad that everybody can't see that side of it, because it's really it's kind of like being a wedding planner, you know, and like seeing the wedding, you know, come out perfectly, you know. I guess that's maybe a bad example. It's more of like an event planner, you know, but there's a lot that goes into it, you know. So to answer your question, my most fun chassis is the FRD, the one that I have. It's very nostalgic feeling. And this guy in I'm gonna show you guys something. This guy in Malaysia, Zulfadi, I think is his name. Super nice guy. He's got a track up there, and he posted these 3 chassis online. And everybody right away was like, "Steve, that's got your name all over it." So this is a D4.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's a Nemesis conversion from DS Racing, and these haven't been sold since 2018. And it's aluminum, not a scratch on it. It's got the Teflon coated gear drive from the D4, and it's got the slide rack. It does have the aluminum battery tray, and it's got this cool kind of stealth bomber look to it. You know, fan mount and everything. And then I also got this one from him, and this is an R31 with a Kazama conversion. See, Kazama's got the Street Jam IFS set up in it. I believe these are TRF dampers.
You're hitting all the names that no one knows about anymore.
Yeah,
Kazama,
that's what I love about it.
R31, Street Jam.
I mean, look how nice this chassis is. I think he even, I mean, it's a little dusty, but I think he even de-anodized some parts to get them to match, because, like, I know these Eagle upper arms did not come in silver. But yeah, this is a very nostalgic chassis as well. And unfortunately, you know, I can't, you know, own every chassis. So I kind of have it like, if someone buys this, I'm taking that. If someone buys that, I'm taking this.
Nice.
And this one's sitting on deck for, this is my Opera D, Opera D4 with the Kevlar deck.
Without the crazy rear suspension setup. Hey, who would have thought?
Oh yeah, you remember that crazy rear suspension setup?
I remember it.
So I have a video on YouTube about that crazy rear suspension. If anybody wants to see it, it's the YouTube video is AUPER D4 suspension. And back then there was something you remember, this baggy suspension?
Yep.
Okay, so
I had one.
You did? Okay. So it's BAGI suspension, and they it wasn't baggy suspension, but that's probably the closest thing to explain what it was.
Yep.
It was some pretty weird stuff. I guess the Xeon, Team Xeon at a track in California. See where it says Xeon right there? Can you guys see that?
It's a little out of frame just because of how I have you framed for YouTube. Yeah. Pull it towards you. There.
It's under there. It's like printed under the battery. Anyway, it's XEON. And these were limited edition. This is number 80 of 100. So that's kind of a cool chassis to have. But yeah, it did have that crazy weird rear suspension on it.
Yeah.
And baggy suspension. I don't know what happened to that. That was kind of an interesting. It was like a weight shift suspension setup, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like a cantilever setup, where your shocks are more inboard, not necessarily inboard, but like kind of pointing. So if like your arms are right here, right, and then your tires are right here, then you had turnbuckles that went up to a cantilever link, and then your shocks would lean in like a V. So just it's a different version of it is all.
That was cool. We need to bring that back.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone got tired of the price because it was an expensive piece of aluminum. That's for sure.
It could be just duplicated though.
Oh, for sure.
If Mike's watching, he's going to do it now.
Hey, let's pause for a second. Because we've got a comment about Waffle House. Is there a Waffle House where you're located at?
Yeah, there's Waffle Houses everywhere, but there happens to be one kind of right around the corner, like within 5 minutes of here. And we've kind of started a tradition of post-comp Waffle House, and whoever wins pays.
Oh, geez.
It was originally a joke, but then the winner actually paid, which, it's
wow.
Just
okay.
Funny.
If I'm ever there for a competition, which actually, if you know me, then I don't actually compete. But if I'm ever there, just remind me not to win, because I don't want to be that guy.
Right. Well, it's funny because it started because Andrew Tran was like, are you buying? And I was like, I told everybody, I said, we're all going to Waffle House after this. And he's like, are you buying? I said, no, winner's buying. And Andrew Tran, he's a really good driver, so he just shut him up pretty quick,
He was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever.
But then Sean Billett ended up winning, and when we got there, he sprung for the bill, so that was super cool of him. But yeah, it's not expected of anybody or anything like that. It's just something funny that happened. But yeah, we like some Waffle House after comping. It's a long day. So
Sean's also in chat. He's the one that asked that. He also said that Steve can put away plates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Waffles. I'm assuming waffles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the what is it? The All-Star platter or whatever. It's like a waffle and some eggs. I can eat it. It's good.
Nice.
Right on. Okay, so let's take a pause right here. We're at a good pausing spot. Let's go ahead and take care of like our normal things. So just events that are coming up. Tandem Tuesdays are always a thing. If you want to go like do a little quick mini comp, head up to PDX Underground RC Drift. They are having little mini comps every Tuesday night. To round 4. We're only on round 4 of our competition series. So is on August 13th at Northwest. Same idea, same thing. We had a really good groove last time. We went from qualifications right into tandem battles, and it only took what, two and a half hours, right, John?
Yeah, something like that. Plenty of time
How many people?
We only had 12.
It was a small turnout, but I feel like that turnout was pretty good as far as like, I don't know, July and summer is kind of a weird RC indoors drifting. Everybody's either out crawling or family events. Like I know I've missed a couple of the streams because of family events like birthdays and whatnot. So I think I'll use that excuse for some of those guys, but the comp was pretty smooth. Everybody was respectful. All the competitors was really good about being respectful of the judges' call. Surprise winner though, for sure on that one. We had one of the new guys complete the whole event, which is one of the guys from PDX was tearing it up. So
What chassis was he on?
He was on a Shark.
yeah,
Okay.
yep, shark conversion.
I found out what he was doing with his shocks though, so not from him though. So
Nice.
So, what's you guys' home track?
so
For me, it's PDX RC Underground.
Okay.
and I'm down south in Albany, Oregon, Northwest Hobbies in Albany. It's a place in the mall that's just been kind of trucking along for the past 3 years.
That's cool. Is it a mall that's still doing a lot of business, or is it kind of a?
I would say it's more of a dying mall than anything
Yeah.
else. I mean, malls.
Those are good spots for RC tracks. I mean,
Well, so do you have Sears or had Sears in like where you're located at?
yeah.
So it's an old Sears location.
That's great. It's good use of the space. I mean,
Yep.
Yep.
It's a good spot for drift. It mixes it up. I think Northwest Hobbies is one of the long-running RC drift track that's built. So it was pretty cool. Are you having a hard time hearing me?
yeah, a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm holding my ear to the. You guys getting to zoom in on my ear? Sorry.
I'm just trying to make sure that I'm talking loud enough that you
Yeah.
guys. So
No, you're talking loud enough. I'm catching some background noise. It's okay.
So well, hold on, because while we're there, let's go ahead and see your track.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
I'm only seeing like little boxes of it.
Yeah, so let me show. These are some of the locals. This is Angel. He actually works here, and this is Hayden. Hayden's actually a pretty new driver, but he did really well in the last competition. He's come a long way pretty quick. You guys were talking about seeing a new driver coming up. He's definitely one that's come up a lot, and it's been cool to see that happen. He's gotten some good tuning advice and come a long way. And then we have, Warren. Warren's the guy that started Rack City. I don't know if anybody's out there heard of Rack City, but it's kind of a local team. And they make liveries. They've got a lot of T-shirts out and stuff. Kind of a cool style to them. So yeah, he's the one that's doing Rack City. And then Walter's another newer driver that's come along recently. So
Are anime liveries a thing for them?
yes.
Okay, I might need to hit them up.
Yeah, it's
So let's see the track.
Oh, the track. Yeah, sorry. So you want me to just kind of walk you around and show you real quick? Well, we can just follow him. So that's where it starts, and there's that zone there. We have these little bumps on the track that everybody likes.
Yep.
And you actually can see him go over it there.
Cool.
Yeah.
We
It's
have
just-
a form
it's a-
of that, except we have to
Yeah.
put it in manually.
It's a 2x4 that I cemented over.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So it's pretty easy.
Now, what's driving around the track, is that an MST or is that just an MST body?
I don't know what kind of body it is, but I know he has a GOM now. Hayden, traded in his D5 for Hayden. What did you get before the GOM? You just went from D5 to GOM, or Okay.
And Ken was actually helping me with that. And he's like,
Oh, I thought you had a D5, didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
I went to the D5 after,
Yeah. Okay.
and then I went to the Opera D5, and now I'm to the Golem.
Right.
I haven't looked back since.
You did the Opera D5 with the dark fire conversion, and then you traded that for some gum parts. Yeah. And that's how that dark fire converted D5 ended up
Right
on
on.
worldwide marketplace.
Nice.
Has he heard of the Yogi conversion for the Galm?
The what?
The Yogi conversion, like
Do
Yogi
you know
Bear.
the Yogi conversion for the GOM? The DDS?
Not, yeah. So it's a combination of the DDS with a Galm belt drive on the rear end and a high battery mount.
Huh.
But that's
Worth looking into. Yeah, he said it's a high motor mount belt drive.
It's a high battery, so high battery belt drive with the DDS on the front end.
Okay.
I was talking to a guy named Kenny McDonald, and he was trying to do the DDS swap to mine. And he wanted to do a high motor out of YD2 or YD2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny's from the PDX area.
Okay, Kenny's from up there. Where they're from. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He was on last week's stream, actually.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
talking about wanting me to send my card to him, and him wanting to do that to it and put it on his page so he could show it to everyone.
Nice.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
I don't know if I'd want to be without my car for
I know.
however long that takes.
Yeah, just hit. Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's tough to trust someone to do something like that, but if they're reputable, then. But yeah, there is kind of a time delay that it takes to do something like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, with the way that we have things now, like you and I and John talking all at the same time, just hop on a video call and like talk through it. That's one of the best ways. Like I did that with Rob Nick about shock tuning, and it works out great. Sure, it's a little bit different because you're not there in person to be like, oh, this is how it should feel. But at the same time, you can get pretty darn close.
Mhm.
I'm not really familiar with using the. I guess I should have at least learned to do that during COVID. But
The Zoom calls, all the
the
Zoom
one thing
calls,
everyone took away from COVID was Zoom calling.
right? It actually made our company really aware of like how remote you can be and still
Yeah.
work for it. So yeah. Okay. Hey, what surface are you on?
So it's concrete, and we did this. Well, we ground it all down. It had like this epoxy coating on it,
Mm-hmm.
and we ground it all down completely. And then we did concrete stain. It's like a spray bottle. You just kind of spray little black clouds everywhere kind of thing.
Okay.
And then we used the coating is actually, it's called Arizona Polymers. And I guess that would make it a polyurethane, but it's a little different. It's the high traffic. So I think they have a 100 and a 200. So it's like 2 coats of the 100 and 1 coat of the 200, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's held up pretty well. It's got a real soft kind of satiny feel to it. When we first did it, it looked like glass. Actually, I thought it was still wet when I came in the next day, and there was a gecko in the middle of the floor.
Oh no.
And I thought he was stuck out there, and I realized it was dry, and I went out there, and he just
Took off.
wobbled away.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it looked like water at first, but it's kind of worn down a little bit and gotten a groove into it.
Would you classify your surface as like a high traction or low traction?
I've heard, so some people are doing like a polished concrete that looks, I always compare it to like the surface at Home Depot,
Okay.
because Home Depot seems to do their surface the same in every Home Depot store around the world. So it's
Sure.
wherever they have them.
Yeah.
So it's a good point of reference, but seems like that kind of a surface is actually a little less grippy than ours. So maybe ours is higher traction than that. but I would still classify it as, pretty low traction.
Mhm.
It's definitely slippery, but people do say that, we have more traction than some other tracks. So I guess you would say medium. I don't know. This is the only track I've driven on.
What about the wear and tear, like the actual maintenance that goes into your track? Like, what are you doing to keep your track alive?
Well, we actually, I think we change our track layout more than most tracks. We've been trying to do a different layout every 2 comps, so that means every 3 months. But it's a day's worth of work for us to take up all the tape and move the track pieces around. It's stuff like all the hatching that takes a long time, and the center lines. So we try to make sure that the layout is the way we want it before investing the extra, time and tape into it.
One thing that I am actually really, really curious about, like if you're looking like straight to the left side of where you were at, too far, point down, the center railing with a fence. Like, all of your pieces are pretty much modular, right? Like you can pick them up, you can move them around, and like into different.
They are. We had one layout that we made all these pieces for, but we have since used those same pieces on several different layouts, and we've actually made some new pieces. Like this one's a new piece, and that one actually ends up working really well in a lot of spots. The the disc right here with the rumble strip on it, that's a pretty new piece. It's real, low. Actually, Ken Kennedy made that one for us. This one is a new piece and we haven't really painted it yet, but we went ahead and put it out here because we need it. But we'll probably have that one finished out.
What is it made out of?
It's MDF.
Okay.
And I'll show you what one of these looks like. So this is one of them. It's MDF, and you can see that it has curb marking paint on the side, and on the top we use it's that Flexstone paint that has kind of a texture to it.
Sure.
But you can see how the tires rub up against this curb marking stuff, and it doesn't. It's really durable. It's almost like some kind of a resin paint to it, but it gives it like a shell. It makes it really durable. So this piece has been rubbed up on quite a bit, but it looks like a real curb. The more it gets used, the more scale it starts to look.
Now I'm curious, how wide are your lanes?
So we've been doing like 30-inch lanes, which is pretty narrow, but it keeps everybody really well in line. Since we did this modification to the track, we went with 36-inch from like back there all along this wall through here, and then it tightens down to 30-inch through here, and then the technical section is a really narrow lane. But we went to we heard that Super G was doing 42-inch lanes, I think they said. And so when we set up at that Harley dealership last weekend, we went with the wider lanes, and everybody actually really liked it. So maybe the next layout we'll go with some wider lanes. But our last layout was more fast and flowy, and this one is more of like a technical like a skill track. It's got some pretty difficult spots, and actually the most difficult spot is right here when you're coming out of there, and you see that little touch and go right there. When you come out of this, you've got to do like a quick little mangy to swing it back around, and it really puts your car to the test to be able to do that quick rock down the center without swinging too far out and then having to swing too far back and losing control of the car. So this 90-degree coming out of this straight, coming out of that turn, hitting this straight, and then flicking it sideways and not having too much speed to where you go out of bounds here is kind of a challenge too. This is actually going to be like where the finish line is, so you'll have to come out of the straight, throw a 90-degree angle, and then land right through here. I don't know if he'll be able to. Yeah, he's Walter's kind of a newer driver, but he's actually driving really well. But that, like I said, that's a challenge. You know, there's some little challenges on the track to make it interesting.
Do you utilize your entire track for a competition, or is it just a part of it?
No, we do the whole. It's a full run. This layout actually we have. I think it was 80 points on the track. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zones, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 3 style points, 2 touch and goes. So yeah, we have a lot of points on the track. It's going to be enough to. It's going to be a lot to keep track of. But
no wonder you guys take a while.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this one's probably going to take a while. You know, I wish it was a way to make it faster, because that's really the number one complaint that I've heard is people are like, oh, it takes so long in between. But I hope everybody understands. It's just because I don't want to make a bad call for anybody. You know, we just want to make sure that because if you watch what happened, there is no right there is no bad call. It's just right. You know. Yep.
Yeah. 100%. If only good calls can be made, then that's how it should be. But yeah, it can take a while, especially if all you're doing is like going in between judges and the random people that show you the videos.
As far as I understand, most comps take kind of a long time. Our first comp, we made the mistake of not starting until like, I think it was 3 or 4, and we went till like 3 in the morning. We had almost 60 people though.
Yep.
And then honestly, it seems like the better the driving gets, the longer the calls take. So if the calls are taking a long time, it's just because you guys are being really good drivers. So take it as a compliment. It's easy to find a winner when someone goes out of bounds or bounces off a curb or, you know, causes disruption of the lead car with those in contact. But when none of that happens and you're looking at proximity and, you know, line of the lead car and just a lot of different factors that you have to take into consideration to make a good call, you know, it takes a little while. So
I just thought of a great idea.
What's that?
So every single time that we have a one more time, right? Because one more times take that much more time, right? So every single one more time, each driver, as long as they're of age, needs to consume 1 beer. And then they can continue to drive.
All right, we're doing that next comp.
That'd be fun.
I'm not a fan of one more times, honestly, because I feel like a one more time is like the judge gave up on trying to figure it out, you know. And so like if you do it one more time and then later you go back and you watch the footage and you're like, you know what, I should have been able to make that call for this driver, and I shouldn't have given the one more time because it gave the other driver
the opportunity.
Yeah, and he took advantage of it and then won, you know. So it's kind of like if you shouldn't have called it one more time because with just a little more, you know, inspection of the footage, you could have made the call and it was there to make. Then you kind of feel like you know, screwed over the competitor. And you know, they've missed their opportunity to have a win, you know.
Yep.
So having said that, you know, one more time is an easy thing for a judge to call, you know. You know, I'd like I don't know, I've made some one more time calls and then later decided I should have made the call because he should have won. And that's a pretty, you know, uncomfortable feeling for us. But we take the competitions pretty seriously. I take them. I know everybody does, you know, but I personally take them because it's the way I see it, it's like a reputation. If we make a bad call or you know, do something obviously wrong, then it makes our whole competition look like it's not legitimate, and I want to be known for having good calls and being a legitimate place for people to test their skills. So
definitely. I think we all try to strive that, but the pathway to get there is never, ever clear.
Yeah. Well, Super G's been super helpful and informative with their rule book. And those rules, you can flip through the page and say, there it is right there. It's clearly laid out in the rules so we can make our call,
Yep.
That helps a lot. It's really good that they did that just for American RC drifting, because I don't think we really had like an American RC drifting rule book other than that. And so it's good for someone to step up and make that format for everybody to follow, And then their competition series that they're getting I think they have 13 tracks involved this time. For their competition series, so they're actually involving 13 other tracks to get them built up to their one final in October.
Oh yeah, the amount of qualifiers that are out and about is huge. Like, let me take a look at their site really quickly.
They haven't updated Texas for us yet, so I'm not sure where we stand.
Neither have us, like our group.
that.
That's cool. I mean, they have a lot going on. I know.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 13 total different regions is what's qualifying. And it's kind of interesting of how they did it too, because like the only conditions that you need to meet in terms of qualifying for the championships is more than 50% or more participation, right? Or being a judge, like, to be able to compete in Super G, which I think is really cool because it doesn't take a lot to be able to go down and compete.
Or any podium, if you take the podium in any event.
Oh, okay.
So you can go to one event and take a podium and you qualify.
Right on. I did not know that one.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
It would sound right. I mean, the only difference is that like they're not paying for room and board for like everybody else. It's just like the top qualifier or the winner. That's the big difference.
Well, that's pretty nice of them to do anyway. We're offering whoever wins the Texas region to pay $300 towards travel expenses. So
right on.
That's kind of our part that we're trying to play in that.
I mean, that covers airfare. Like,
it covers something. I mean,
right? I mean, honestly, for like, if I were to go down there, it'd be a road trip, like 14, 18 hours down that way. I think
25.
Jeez, 25. That's a lot of driving.
That's a lot of driving.
I've actually made that drive straight through.
Jeez.
Only stopping 5 times for gas.
Jeez.
Man.
It can be done. 25 hours.
Did you at least have a buddy? Like a travel along buddy?
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
I lived in San Diego and my family lived in Houston, so I would go for Christmas and I would make that drive and I would only stop 5 times, and each time I would go to the bathroom, get snacks, and get gas, fill my tank. So 5 tanks, you can get there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was a wild man.
Man, okay. 5 tanks. What were you driving?
What was I driving?
Yeah.
It was like a 92 Lexus ES300.
Okay. Man, I can only imagine what that gas bill would be today. It'd be insane.
It was different back in my day. Yeah.
Okay, hey, let's do one quick section here, the product watch. I don't have a lot of products here, so maybe you guys have seen something just new in the web pages or whatever you've been looking at. But the cool one for me, and I'm not even gonna try to put it on screen this time around. I'll just post it in the Discord. But it's the adapter plates for the RMX from Rhino Racing, so you can actually fit a CLSD in that transmission case, the 2.5 transmission case. So I'm happy to see that the RMX is getting a little bit more love than what it has been. But that's kind of like my big one of the week. Like they have Super G has quite a few new things on their site, but nothing too special this time. Oh, which Revd released their like super short springs, their new R-Tune springs. I picked up a set of those, so we'll see how those go. What about you, John? Did you see anything cool this week?
I did. It's right here. Coming soon.
Is that a Bankai? What is it?
It's so I've been working with Bankai Build RC. So we have hat that's coming out. It's the Bankai, and then of course this is their logo, collab design, and then embroidered on a 3D puff. We'll see how it works out. This is one of the tests. Like I said, coming soon. There might be
the weekend. Yeah.
guys up here in the Northwest.
What about you, Steven? Any cool products that you've seen lately?
Well, I mean, everybody that knows me knows that I'm more into the painting side of the hobby than anything. I used to, when I was a kid, I built model cars a lot, and it was always frustrating that after building a model car, you couldn't drive it, or even turn the wheels most of the time.
Uh-huh.
So I'm really interested in the painting, and so I actually did an unboxing of the new Pandora Porsches.
Okay.
And I actually have one here if you want to see it real quick. They're pretty nice. But I have the body kit, the accessory kit that goes with it too. And it's a lot of canards and some pretty deep fenders and some little fog lights.
Mm-hmm.
So these are pretty cool. I know a lot of people have seen these around, and I'm kind of working on a plan for my layout for it. So we're big Pandora users, and I personally prefer the Pandora bodies over any other body. I like the style. I like the diversity of the types of cars. Like they go back to old stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually like clear Lexington light buckets. But I was looking earlier because someone was asking me. He said, I found a 400Z with a body kit online, and I was like, I haven't seen that yet, And then I opened the A Plastics website, and so they have body with wide body kits, and actually, let's see, body accessories and wide body kits. So they have this pretty cool. Actually, I think I already pulled up. Yeah, the 400Z body kit. I think that's pretty dope looking.
Have you seen the Addiction one as well?
I have not. No. This one comes with a window louver too, which is cool.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
So, have you noticed in the real car scene that like window louvers are coming back?
Hell yeah! I love window louvers. I think I've always thought they look cool.
They have those for my car, and I'm kind of like, no.
I mean, like, okay, if you do the right aesthetic, like it does looks good. Wow, it does looks good. It looks good.
I did some window louvers on a BMW a while back, and I stole them off an S14, and they actually look pretty good. Find the picture real quick. But they have a DeLorean body kit now from A Plastics. Also, did you guys see that yet?
I heard about it. I haven't seen it. Well, let me pull it.
That is it.
Okay.
Real kind of like techno modern, like almost cyberpunk looking.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a 210 front, 212 rear.
Holy crap!
Yeah, And then the same with the 400, it's 210. So, there's been this. Okay, so I don't know why companies come out with a body with a wide body kit and then it's 195 width. It's like if you're gonna make a wide body, make it a wide body. So it's really better to get the body that's 195 or 200 and then add the body kit, because then you can add additional width to the body and get a little more room to widen your track width in the front.
I would think it's the intimidation factor, because like me, I'm not about to touch an addiction body just because of all the different like panels that go into it. Same with Pandora, because Pandora usually sections it off into 3, right? So the overall body, the front clip, and the rear clip, like those, if you don't do it right and if you don't take your time, it looks pretty shoddy.
Well, I use Gorilla Tape for all that. It's got this real thick, it's kind of like duct tape, but it's got like a thicker layer of goo on the inside, and that sticky goo stuff kind of settles into the body over time and makes it more durable, actually, as long as not too much dust gets in there. But it doesn't mess up the paint. I put those on with Gorilla Tape 100%. This is that BMW I was talking about with the louvers.
Oh jeez.
Nice.
I put the little double girl on here with the tail lights.
Okay, so it's not just something weird on the corner.
No, it's a double girl. And her eyes light up red.
Gotcha. So let's talk about your painting, like, because we're there now, right? Let's talk about your painting.
Yeah.
I guess let's start off with, how do you paint? Like, are you a can person or are you an airbrush person?
I am an airbrush person, 100%.
So what kind of hardware do you use?
I use Airbrush Master Airbrush from Amazon, and they're like $20, $25, $25, $30. If they clog up beyond all recognition, then you can get a new one pretty cheap. They come apart. The needle's not bad. I've never spent a lot on an airbrush, to be honest. I don't know if that makes me cheap or not enough of a connoisseur of airbrushing, but the little inexpensive ones do just fine. I'm not really in there trying to do little detail stuff as much as I'm just trying to get the paint to get on the body and make a big cloud. But I do like the option to adjust the tip and adjust the flow and adjust the mix. You might want to go with a thicker paint so you don't thin it out as much, or you might want to go with a thinner paint and thin it out more, and it just gives you those options.
Now, is your airbrush, is it one of those where you have to press down and pull back, like the two
action?
Yeah,
it's the dual action.
Okay.
We have a little paint room here at the track. I can show you real quick. It's messy, but
I mean, it's paint, right?
Yeah, so you can see it's where we paint. And so here's my airbrush sitting in a tank of water, and it's the
okay.
Yeah, I just leave it in the water, honestly, because I use water-based paints and it doesn't rust. So if you leave it out and let it dry, then whatever crust is on the inside just gets hard and it's impossible to get it out of there. So you're better off leaving it in a bucket. I usually leave it in a bucket of clean water, though. We let people here at the track use the airbrush. So once I've shown you how to use it a couple of times, you're welcome. If you come in and if you're a member, you pay your track fee and you want to paint your body here, we encourage it. So
do you guys offer painting services?
Yeah, I charge $120 to paint bodies, and then if there's graphics, I charge an extra $40, or it really depends,
details and whatnot.
Yeah, so it's all time that you have to put into it. So
yeah.
But yeah, I like to use the airbrush. You get more, paint out of it. You can mix colors. I use all the Mission models. We carry Spastics here too. Spastics has some really nice colors to work with, and these come all airbrush ready. But the water base, you can thin with water. It's really easy cleanup. All these mission model pearls are really nice colors. Like here's this is iridescent. It's either turquoise or teal. I think that's the teal. But it's got a really nice sheen to it. And same with the pearl red. This got a little bit of a pink to it. So all the pearls are nice because you can just spray like a nice thick coat of the pearl and then go straight to black and it won't bleed through.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, which is if you painted enough shells and you know that you've turned a nice cherry red into a nice Heinz ketchup red, backing it in black, then backing the color is a really big part of painting. You have to something like red, you have to go white and then silver and then black, and you need a lot of silver. Red's actually one of the hardest colors I think to paint, next to yellow.
Yeah, actually, quite a few yellow bodies that I've seen. Some are really, really good, and then some are just kind of weird, just because it never turns out.
Or you can see through them. You can see the ESC blinking through it, or
So I guess what's kind of your champion body, like your prized possession body?
This
I saw those eyes.
This is the one that people probably know me the best for. So this is a Tamiya Lamborghini Countach, and these bodies have been discontinued for quite a while. It's beat up, so it's been used. And I got this on eBay. I think I paid like $200 with the taillights and the wing, which it's a really cool wing if you look, it's like an arrow.
Yeah.
And I wanted a wide body. First of all, I stared at it for like a year before I even did anything. I was going to paint it white, and then one day I just had enough and decided I was going to paint it. And so it has a DemiWorks 350Z wide body kit on it, and you see I tilted the front fenders down. That's where the door should be, but since the door is there, it's and then I have these are the sides from a Lamborghini Murcielago. This was a diffuser from a GTR body kit. No, I think that was from the Lamborghini from Matrix line. This is the front splitter from a GTR body kit.
Right on.
Nice. It's definitely one of a kind body.
Yeah, it's kind of hodgepodge, but it all worked. It all came together. But some of the side skirts started to come off, and I really need to kind of work on it and bring it back. It had holes here for the body post, and so I actually made a panel, and it does have louvers in the back that I don't know where they are right now, but it had some pretty cool louvers on it. And this one was actually pretty well known. I made some cool wheels for it too.
The circles. Yeah, I see the circles.
They're about 35 millimeter wheels. Pretty much what the Porsche is going to need, actually. You can see it kind of gives it a nice tuck, and then from the back, it's got a nice fat profile to it.
35 mils. You're pretty close to Valino territory at that point. The overdose wheels.
What?
The overdose super wide wheels.
Do they? I didn't know they made those. How wide are they?
Hold
I thought
on.
they're 36 or 30.
What?
I'm not
I
sure.
need some.
I'm finding
I need
out.
some because we measured the width on this Porsche, and I think it's a 235 width in the back with the fenders.
It's going to be a wide.
30 millimeter tires.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's what the overdose is?
Yep.
Yeah. So I made these. These are the Lamborghini wheels that, were called out for by the Tamiya kit. I actually bought them separate, but we have these Tetsujin hoops and I just cut them and put them on the inside to fill in the wheel well. You can actually see a little bit of the tab there.
Pull it towards you a little bit better. There you go.
Yeah. So you can see the inside lip is the Tetsujin hoop. And then these are just basically two tires glued together down the middle. You can see the seam and then the hoop in there and then the rest of the tire. So it has tire glue on it. It's not,
It's fine. It's one of a kind.
Yeah, and I did grind it down on the concrete before I drove it, so it's true, yeah, this is the one I'm probably the best known for. I did this one Lamborghini a while back. It's I saw it on the Japanese.
Oh geez.
Yeah, it was the Japanese Lamborghini gangs.
Okay. Yeah.
And I saw one that had the leopard print on it. I thought it was super cool looking. So I had a really cool red engine bay in here too. And this one has a GTR body kit on it. It's kind of hard to see because of all the leopard print. And so this one was when I had a big, the big turbos before SRC made the big turbo. I had one that I made it out of glue sticks. Well, glue sticks, they're heavy, but if you bend them, they actually bend like pipe. If you heat them up and bend them, and then when you smash them together, the seam looks like a weld.
Okay.
You can paint it. I painted them black and they look fine. So
cool.
Yeah. So you're not worried about performance because of the extra weight. It works pretty well.
I mean, there are some chassis that are just cool. Like, have you seen the it's Ghostbusters wagon, right? But it has the real suspension. Like it's actuated by 4 servos, so when it leans over to the side, it's really leaning, and it has like that boat look when it's stopping. It looks pretty epic. But that's not going to win a competition. It just looks absolutely cool.
Yeah, I've seen that. There's I think it's like a Pi, what do you call it? Raspberry Pi circuit board that someone makes that you can hook up to a bunch of servos and make it drift. But I didn't know anything about the Ghostbuster car.
Yeah, that's kind of like the original one that I saw. It's like that's exactly how that car should move in real life. So it's really, really cool to see. It's basically kind of like, the Red Cat Impala that they have, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of rigged like that. It's just more of a system for movement instead of just like hydraulics.
The one I'm referring to, I think it has a gyro built into it, so it it makes the car lean one way or the other. Like you don't use.
I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. I've seen a couple people come in with them. They're pretty cool. That I didn't know about the Ghostbuster thing.
It's just a lot of extra weight. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it performance-wise wasn't the best performing driving car, but it worked. I mean, it drifted.
Right. Like
this is go ahead.
Like it's the question is, will it drift? Yes. Yeah. It's just how well.
Right. Yeah.
Ooh, is that your radio as well?
Yeah. This is my radio.
So are you a Sanwa boy?
Yep.
Forever.
Yeah. We're a Sanwa track really. We haven't heard a lot of Futaba stuff, but I mean for drifting it's either Sanwa or Futaba really. I think. But so I was gonna say, I made this body a while back, and it's kind of turned into. I've had a lot of people ask me to do it for them since then, so I think I've done 8 of them since this one. But it's a little galaxy paint job that I do sometimes, and then this is another one that I did for our spring mat Surrey last year, and It's got a lot of challenging details and
The checkerboard fade. That's cool.
yeah, that was the hardest thing, honestly. Checkers are hard to do, man. They're like, figuring out which checker stays and which one goes is, especially when you have to add the front bumper.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
yeah, I'm trying to think what other bodies I have in here that I've painted to give you an idea what kind of work I like to do.
So say if someone actually if they commission you out to do a paint job, how long would you typically is there a wait time? How long is your turnaround?
I try to do like 5 bodies at a time because there's some things that I can kind of group together, like liquid masking all of them at once and
For sure.
painting all the black trim all at once. And if I only have 2 bodies commissioned, I'll do 3 for the shop or whatever and just hang them up in the shop to sell. But I usually tell people 2 weeks, but in all reality, it ends up being closer to a month. It's so when I said earlier that, I don't tune my own car enough because there's always something that I feel like is more important to do. Painting bodies is one of them. And on top of that, there's sometimes more important stuff to do than paint bodies. Once I sit down and start working on bodies, it's good to not have to stop and get up and do something else, but just to kind of be in that zone for like 5 hours and get a lot cranked out. And I've gotten a pretty good system down. I take all the lights together and I do all the black and the chrome, and I do all the black trim first, and then I add, one at a time, color by color. I'll peel off the body and spray the body, and then like all the colors that need to be backed in white, I'll do all those together, and then all the pearls that just can go straight to black, I'll do all those together. So there's, you figure out little systems to help you be more efficient. But the one thing I don't want to do is not take the amount of time that needs to be taken with each individual body to make it look, the best it can. So it has to be a good quality. We have I've been putting dark lab stickers on all the bodies when I paint them.
For sure.
And, when I put the dark lab sticker on it, it's like saying that, I did a good enough job to put it on there. So I definitely have a standard I want to meet. And, painting bodies, you really kind of have to be in the right mood. You got to have a clear head. You can't be, can't have any negative thoughts going on. It's got to be kind of like a smooth, peaceful time, and I'm not the only one that said that. A lot of body artists have agreed with me on that, that you have to be in the right frame of mind, and it's not something that, if you got something going on in your personal life, you can take the time to do, so it's calming and it's relaxing, but it's also something you really have to be prepared to work on. So it's not something you're always able to do.
What do you do to overcome burnout?
Good question.
Burnout from painting bodies?
Mm-hmm.
I actually took a nice little break from painting bodies because I didn't have anybody asking me to do one in a while. And but sure enough, you get some creative juices that start flowing. Like you see something, like I went and saw a movie, and it generated some thoughts in my head about a paint scheme that I would like to do. And I won't say what movie, but sometimes you just see things that generate a creative thought in your head, and that's really what painting bodies is all about, is putting your own spin on it and saying, I wonder how this would look, and or I wonder how I could do it and make it look good. And a lot of it is like color combinations. Like you can see a color combination that you like and say, I wonder how that would look on a car. Like that was like, we went to the Harley Davidson dealership. There were a lot of bikes that had, cool color combinations. and gave me some ideas about, painting some bodies, some things I would like to do.
Right on.
You don't get burned out because you're constantly, I enjoy doing it. It's like, it's kind of like I consider myself an artist, and, bodies are my canvas, and the goal is to make it look as real as you can. And I know a lot of other body artists, scale artists out there consider it the same thing. It's a creative outlet, to express yourself. And actually, as grown men, or as a grown man, I feel very lucky to have that, creative outlet in my life, because a lot of people, doing the daily grind, they really don't have a lot of opportunities to express their creativity, and then, have people appreciate it,
For sure. All right, boys and girls, or boys, mainly boys.
Are there any girls watching in the chat?
No, there isn't. Okay, so we're running out of time. If you do have any final questions, or if you do have any questions, put them in chat because we can answer them. There was one topic that came up in Discord, coming from Andy Y. I'd rather talk about this next week, because we've talked about it before, at how different, not tires but wheels, can affect your actual drivability, from like high traction top line wheels versus like your MST hard things, right? We'll touch on that next week.
Yep.
And
that'd be a good pick.
Yeah, and we'll talk about a few other tuning things that we did over the week of what I'm doing. But yeah, other than that, anything from you, John?
Not at the moment. I think we touched base on all of the questions that I was going to have. But yeah, let's see. Oh, can you give us the time, Steven, for your track, like your business hours?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're actually open 6 days a week. And we do 12:30 to 9:30 pretty much every day. Close early not very early. We close at 8 on Sunday, and then Friday we stay up until 11, and sometimes we'll stay up until 11 on Saturday. Like tonight we're here till midnight. So
you're pretty much a drift track that's open every day.
Yeah, Thursdays our day off. That originally started because I shared custody of my son, and I had to pick him up from school on Thursdays. But now that's not an issue. But I still take the day off to spend with my family, and I end up coming up here early in the morning and doing accounting stuff. But I try to leave by noon or something.
Okay, cool. Is there a reason why you stay? Because a lot of the shops, like tracks, they close at like, let's say 6 or 7 o'clock, but you open in until 9 o'clock and then 11 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. So is there a reason on the times?
Well, people usually like go to work during the day and then do their hobbies at night. So it's got to be accessible to people that have day jobs and want to come in after work and unwind and hang out with the boys before going home and going to sleep. It's kind of like a second home. So I feel like the really the 6 to 10 o'clock time is kind of prime time for RC drifting, and it's I think the most important time. The 12 to 6 time is where I get like putting away inventory, ordering inventory, cleaning, accounting, stuff that I need to get done, and we have a lot of members that spend a lot of time up here during the day too. So we have a good handful of like 4 or 5 guys that pretty consistently here just about every day.
That's good.
That's cool. Yeah, no, that's cool.
It's cool.
I was just curious, I like, since we talked about your track, I wanted to see what your business hours were like and things like that. So that's good to know, like informative for the people that wants to visit your track and whatnot from other states. that if they do fly in and show up at like 6 o'clock, they can go drifting at your track. So
yeah, we try to. So we closed for a little bit during COVID, and before that we were open. I think it was like 3 days a week or something. And when we came back, we were like, we're going to go full out, full hours hobby shop hours, and really give it an opportunity to grow. Really give the hobby an opportunity to grow here in Dallas. So we just kind of went all in, and this is my full-time job, and I commute to work here every day, and this is what I've dedicated my life to.
nice.
I'm happy about it. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I feel like I'm good at it. I like seeing people happy. I like seeing people, check their baggage at the door and come in and talk about, what O-rings they're going to put in their dampers today or whatever, just, the things that it's kind of like a micro escape from the world, and,
Yep.
And then actually getting out there and driving. I mean, people come in and they don't even say much. They just go out and start driving and check out, and they're often their drift world out there driving, and maybe they're thinking, who knows what they're thinking about. Maybe they're focusing on driving, but it's their time, and so.
Yep.
I know there are other things that people do to be happy, but that's really my favorite thing about this hobby is just seeing that people have it as an outlet to, unwind and meet people, have gatherings, hang out with people that they wouldn't otherwise meet, have events, have birthdays, bring their kids, have their kids meet other kids, it's just a really good community. And you don't ever have to have something to do when you have a gathering, because everybody always drifts their RC cars. It's just like that's always what people do. So I thought about,
for sure.
We had a cookout. I thought about getting like, I don't know, a ping pong table or something, and I was like, everybody's just going to be drifting the whole time. So it's just like you don't really have to. It's what everybody does. So it's a really cool thing to kind of build a community around.
For sure. We did Mario Kart. Well, we called it Mario Kart. Basically, what ended up happening is we put balloons on our cars and rigged them with tacks, and we went around the track. And yeah, just imagine, it was pretty fun.
Stuff like that's fun for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, everybody. One last thing, John. Wow, John, not John. Even where can we find you on the social medias?
Okay, so we have an Instagram page. I believe it's just Drift America RC. I should know that. I'm more of a Facebook guy. So on Facebook we have a group page. It's facebook.com/groups/Drift America. No RC at the end, just Drift America. So you can find our group on there and join up. And then we do have a business page that you can like, but honestly, we're not terribly active on that. Really, the group page is where we post most of our content. And then we do have a website, driftamericarc.com, and that's more of a product sales site. It's less content related, but there is a link to our Instagram on there too.
Cool.
Right on. Okay, let's go ahead and finish her out. Is there any reminders? I don't think there's any reminders. If you want to post any topics in the Discord, do so. If we want to talk about it, I'll try to put it in the document so that we can keep an eye on it and follow that. Of course, everything always happens in chat as well, so there's that.
Right.
Thank you, Steven.
Adam, and John, hey, thank you guys for having me. It's I've never done a podcast or anything, so this is a first for me, but it's definitely cool to like have an outlet to brainstorm and have everybody kind of come to the table and talk about trends and what's going on. And it's an honor to be a part of it. And it's really great that you guys are doing this. there are a lot of ways to build the community, and this is definitely one of them. And you know, Drift America, you know, like I said, our goal has just been to build the RC drift community. I know there are other people out there doing it like you guys. You know, we're passionate about the hobby. We think it's something that everybody should do, you know, man, woman, and child, all ages. And you know, for whatever reason, it's just so cool. And so I appreciate you guys out there, you know, building the community like this.
Thanks for taking the time to be a part of this and answering some questions. It's good to know that there's people that's taking the steps to like get some places recognized, and like the map that you're working on.
Yeah.
You know, more people that are painting bodies, that some of the vintage collectible chassis are still around in the US, and it's still sitting on a glass case somewhere being well taken care of. So that's pretty cool. I think that's my favorite part of this whole thing. It's just everybody coming together to make something happen. So thank you for being here.
Yep. Thank you, boys. And with that, thank you for the chat. And well, chat meaning everybody else. And we're going to be signing off. So you guys have a good evening, good week, and we'll see you back next week.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Yep.
Talk to everybody.
Okay. Later.
Later.